Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Enhancing Your World show. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Alba. Larkin will be joining us momentarily, but thought we'd go ahead and get started today. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about clearing the way for an amazing 2024. Now, um, we always talk about we talk a lot about duality and our soul and our ego and these types of things. And it's been my experience that the ego is important, but the soul itself has a higher destination or destiny than our egoic self. Our egoic self is, what we've been conditioned, what we know, what we've, identify as, and it can be self-limiting because it likes comfort, it likes security. It doesn't really exist. So, for it to take root, we have to uh, believe in it, you know, um, and think it's necessary. Whether it's our habits of thinking, feeling, doing, these things create consistency. The more consistent we are, the more secure we feel. And the more secure we feel, the more confident we may appear, um, unless there's some kind of adversity show up. And then that's when the mask kind of comes off a little bit, and we show our vulnerabilities, our weaknesses, our immaturities. And these aren't good or bad. These are just states of where we're at, and the circumstance, the challenge, the test, those types of things are showing up for us um, to grow, to get better, to expand, to evolve beyond our comfort zone. I equate the comfort zone to like an invisible fence. It creates a false sense of security because we can't get out, but things can come in. And when things come in unexpectedly, sometimes we react in ways to self-protect, to self-soothe, to stay on our path. And some of the biggest lessons for me and my wife um, have come through learning to surrender, to get out of my own way. um, you know, and to stop trying to control all the outcomes, circumstances, and effects, whether that's with myself, whether that's within my relationships, within business, within my clients. We have to each take personal responsibility and accountability for ourselves and the energies that we're putting out in life. And when we stagnate too much, I like the visual of what happens to water when it stagnates. Water is living. It's always supposed to be moving, and when it stagnates, other life starts to um, cohabitate. You know, and then start getting a little mucky. You never want to drink out of a stagnant pond because the water's not safe to drink. And we need it to flow, and the more it flows, um, the more opportunity it has to collect minerals and to cleanse itself and to clear itself, and to make it more valuable and um, for use. And I would say that our lives are very similar to that. I would say that. When I'm in my vibration of love, I'm not worried about what I'm receiving. I'm worried about what I'm giving, the quality of what I'm getting. How am I showing up? What am I doing? How am I behaving? How am I talking? How is the causation of my being affecting our reality, our collective reality. And that includes myself. That includes everybody, all of humanity. That includes the planet. Because I can't consume something without affecting the greater whole. And that energy, that frequency transfer, allows us to become aware of the unity of duality and how to get into proper alignment with that for ourselves so we can traverse our path with greater ease, flow, confidence, and ultimately results. I know there's a lot of marketing going on right now, lots of coaches, lots of manifestors, lots of people selling, all these things that you can manifest this stuff, overnight. And, it's interesting because I haven't met someone that has created some kind of significance in their life, whether it's their relationships, their family, a business, anything like that, that didn't take time and effort. And, I was just talking to a guy the other day. He's worth $900 million. And he was saying, yeah, it took me 10 years to become an overnight success. No one knew who I was until I became an overnight success. Now, he made money along the way. He built businesses along the way. He was doing all the things, but he didn't reach that level of celebrity, I guess you would say, until 10 years in. And now he's very open and very it's a good way to put it, very confident about where he's been, the people he spends his time with, his time, and he still gives his time away. I mean, that's he's one of my coaches. And personally, our view sets are a little bit different. But I got to be around different people to learn different things. And I found myself in a situation, in this current reality of, okay, well, now I need to focus on growing my business more. So who should I listen to? Somebody who's struggling to maintain a business, or somebody that is a serial entrepreneur that is quite successful externally, and makes money. And one of the first things he said to me when we met was, "What you do makes no money." So you're going to have to rebrand yourself. You're going to have to do some things a little differently if you're going to want to make money. And, of course, I could disagree with them. I know plenty of people that, live very abundant lifestyles, and they get to travel, and they have true freedom, and, they invest in the things that they believe in and all that kind of stuff, that walk the path that I do. But, I don't know of anyone that in this line of work that's focused on making, $2 million a day like this gentleman is. And he does deals like that all the time, apparently. So, to each their own. I would love to coach him on being more heart-centered and more mindful of, what we're doing to the planet, rather than just the materialism stuff, and, building up a big bank account. But, that's where we separate. And, I haven't had the opportunity to really get to know the guy and sit down with quality time and truly get to know him and what makes him tick. I know he has a lot of care and a lot of hurt. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing what he's doing. He wouldn't be coaching. He wouldn't be giving his advice away. He wouldn't be investing in other people's deals, and things like that. Of course, he's making money too. It's an exchange, but he's still doing good on the planet to some degree. in my opinion. Now, I could talk about limitation and things like that, but that's my own judgment and why I choose to walk differently from him. He does remind me a lot of myself in my late teens and early 20s when I was building my first sets of businesses, and I wanted to be the man, I wanted to be the king, I wanted to be able to I wanted to be the go-to guy, I wanted to be the best of the best of the best, because that's what our ego needs for separation, right? To feel important. Oh, welcome, Larkin. I can't hear you. I don't hear you at all, my friend. Let's see if we do this.
You have to let me in.
Oh, there we go. Hey, I learned something new today. All right. Woohoo!
No, I couldn't get past the December 2nd ones. Oh. I re-logged in so many times. It was like December 2nd. I'm like, no. Amazing 2024. Cool.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm good, thanks. It's cold and rainy here, and I just want to curl back up in bed.
I hear you. I'm not far away from that point of view.
You didn't have to. We're both in our blue sweatshirts today.
Yeah.
You don't have to go spend 6 hours at the barn though, outside in the cold mud in the rain. So
no, I don't get that opportunity.
Thank God.
Yeah. I'm gonna go do a healing session after this. So
okay.
Yeah. I get to go drive for a little while to get to my client, so we can go do that. And yeah, it was a little cold in here today, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna wear my sweatshirt because Thank you, Blythe. I appreciate you so much. And what we were talking about, Larkin, was clearing the way of an amazing 2024. What's it take on an egoic basis, on an individual basis, and on a soul level, of trusting, that there's something grander, that our purpose here is to expand and grow and evolve as our, human self, as well as, be role models for, the collective. And I was sharing a story of a new coach I got, that I'm working with for a little while. He's a business coach, and he's worth like $900 million or whatever. And I was kind of sharing some of the insights that he shared with me and some of my challenges with him, because he's like, very confident. We'll just say that, and kind of a bully, in my opinion. But that's my opinion, right? Like, I don't know him. He might be off camera. He might be this great, amazing person. But I'm challenged when people sit for 30 minutes and share all the photos of the celebrities that they hang out with and look at how credible I am. Because I think if you got the stuff, you don't need to say, look at my past, to trust what I'm saying today, because that comes from within. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. No, I mean, I completely agree. I mean, I think it's the same in a lot of different arenas. I think it's a question of confidence, right? So I do know from being a business coach for a long time that in order to get clients, it is very helpful to let them know your story and your past and what makes you credible.
Mm-hmm.
And what we entitle experts nowadays means usually is that, people want you to have worked with some sort of celebrity. I will say for myself personally that I see through all that, and I don't really give a hoot whether you are a celebrity or a no one, because that's our collective societal egos talking. And so I tend to go the opposite direction of that. Mm-hmm. The gurus and teachers and things, the martial arts experts, the dance teachers I had, they were The best ones, the ones that knew the most, were actually humble.
Mhm.
They were hard to find. They had a small group of students, and they were not charging at the high end of the scale.
Right.
So I myself am the exact same way in my coaching and my psychic work,
Mhm.
because that feels right. I think if you're trying to get everybody and anyone, and you are trying to prove to everyone how great you are and why you're the best, I think that's a dime a dozen. And I've had a lot of business coaches that charged me, oh my goodness, anything from $6,000 to $100,000. And what I found was usually the more they charged, the less they gave me. And the more people were like, oh my God, they're so amazing.
Right.
But it's because they were putting on this persona of being amazing. They
Mhm.
weren't actually even doing anything. I mean,
Right.
really, I don't think I rarely had a private session with any of those coaches, and they would maybe give you 15 minutes. And most of them ended up being very mentally and emotionally abusive, actually, to the women they were coaching.
Sure.
Other women. They were
Right.
under this platform of, oh, we're going to build up women, and but if you didn't do what you wanted, they ganged up on you, they bullied you, they threatened you. And the last one I had, I actually told her, I said, I'm not paying you another penny because you're abusing everyone in your mastermind. And these women are so desperate to make money.
Right.
So I think we just have to be careful of that and follow our intuition. I will say I learned something from all of my coaches,
Mhm.
whether they were, jerks and whether they were really confident or fake confident,
Right.
whether they were truly successful or not. But it taught me a lot of how to be the person offering the service, what I didn't want to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I've remained my authentic self the entire time.
Right.
So, but here's something I will say to everybody, and this is kind of a repeat of what I just said, but remember that you can learn something from everyone.
Mhm.
So if it's someone you really don't like, there can still be something to be learned. And if you can separate your opinion about the person from maybe what can I get out of this, it might only be a little piece. Just make sure that you're not allowing them to, I mean, obviously I can't give my stuff away for free. So yeah, there is an energetic trade. My clients have to pay me.
Right.
But I'm also not trying to convince them to sell their firstborn child in order to pay me, right? And a lot of these things, even if it's just like a meditation course, it's like, oh, take out another credit card. Can't you sell your car? Who can you borrow from?
Right.
Well, anything to get a dime. I tell people I don't want you entering into my program feeling minus something.
Right.
You have the money to do it, or why don't you start out with this affordable level?
Mhm.
And if that is too much for you, then if it means enough to the person, they will find a way to pay for it.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that they can't go buy milk and bread because they're working with me. I don't want that.
Right.
I don't want that energy in my sphere.
Right.
So,
Well, it breeds like desperation, right? And
yeah, that's the opposite of what I'm working for with them, right?
yeah, exactly. And and oh my God, my bills are getting high. I gotta produce because I gotta make my credit card payment. Those type of things. So no, I totally agree. And I've learned personally, the people who challenge me the most have taught me the most about myself, who I want to be, how I want to be, how I want to relate to other people. Because that's just been my thing. I've met a lot of wonderful, charismatic, lovely, giving, amazing people, throughout my life. And the more time you spend with them, the more you realize that they're just human too. They're just easier to be around than the ones that are challenging, right? But the challenging ones make you grow, like they force it upon you. If you choose to, I guess, walk the path that we walk.
Right. And, and I mean, you guys always just, you have to use your intuition. And I think, moving into 2024, which I know is what we're essentially talking about today, it's important to remember, balance you're looking outward with your looking inward.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you're reaching out and grasping for things all the time? Or are you checking in? Because your external world is a reflection of your internal world. So what is, if you don't like what's happening on the outside, there's something happening on the inside.
Right.
What is that? And
Right.
it doesn't matter if it's a relationship or if it's money. I do want to, I know everyone is almost always on their New Year's resolution is looking for, work or money solutions or changes,
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I will say is, when sometimes if you take the focus off of the money or off of what you don't have without the money you don't have currently, and you focus on something else, that answer comes on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And usually when I have clients coming to manifest money, or my business clients, they were always obsessed with to make the money. And can you make money that way? Yes. Did most of my coaches that were my business coaches that made a shit ton of money do it that way? Yeah. But I think one of the things that we can talk about today, Chris, that I think is super, super important is really getting to the root of real manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I love to be the devil's advocate. I'm actually not an argumentative person. I'm a mediator. I really am. I'm a mediator personality. But trying to get myself balanced here.
Right.
Always the opposite of what you think you want.
Right. Yeah.
But I think this is really, really important, because there are two different ways that manifesting can work. There's effortless effort, which takes longer because you have to do the internal work.
Mm-hmm.
But then things just happen naturally for you,
Mm-hmm.
and you're in alignment.
Right.
This is what you want to do. Trust me, this is what you guys want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is the hardcore down to earth manifesting, where you have to do more of the grunge work and you can make it happen. But what always inevitably happens, I don't want to say always inevitably. If you're waking up consciously, this should inevitably happen. Okay. If you're waking up and growing, this should inevitably happen. You come to a point where you realize, shit, like I did. Boy, am I success. Hey, I'm making 100K a month. Hey, I'm doing this and that. Hey, I got more clients than I know what to do with. I'm not happy. This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
These aren't the right clients.
Right.
This isn't the right thing. And that sucks, because you've put in all this time and effort. You've sacrificed so many things because you ran and you applied every manifesting thing. And I mean, I became an expert manifester.
Right.
But guys, I'm telling you, for effortless effort manifesting, you have to strip that all down. And what the coaching industry is teaching is not for you to get what you want, despite what they say. I'm telling you right now, it is all a lie. This is why Chris and I are here. We're rebels at heart. My husband and my stepdaughter are so funny, because they're like, ha, because I always like to get along and everyone be congenial and all this crap. They're like, you're not a rebel. They think I'm not a rebel at all. And I always tell them, the biggest rebels are the ones that you don't recognize.
Mm-hmm.
Because what am I doing? I have spent the last couple years getting to the bottom of the crap. And we've talked about this before on here. Hey, honey, come on up. The crap of what is happening. My little dog just ran in. The crap that's going on in order to make money under the guise of what you all want to hear. Guys, how do I know this? Because I trained with people who were teaching this for more than 10 years. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn from the best people on this. And it was very interesting, because some of those best people coaches now that were so happy. One girl I coached with, had a huge diamond ring. I mean, it was probably 10 carats, and she was always flashing in front of everyone, which really turned me off. But I liked what she was teaching. She wasn't married 3 years. So the patterns that she had taught us about were still in her life, but she had found a way to lure women into, and I know she believed in what she was doing. I know she improved her life. I know life is better with money because you have freedom.
Right.
So it's not that she was wrong, but where is it? And it's not that we shouldn't be charging. Okay. Money is I'm talking about money, guys, for those of you that just popped on, money and coaching moving forward, because we're moving into 2024. And so it's a new year, and money is something I saw a few more people pop on. Money is something that people want inevitably, but we have to remember that money is a representation of an energy exchange. So there's two sides to this coin. One, stop trying to get everything for free. And I deal with this all the time as a psychic medium. Everybody wants a reading for free. And nobody cares if you spend an extra 30 or 60 minutes giving them a reading. Hey, if you're going to pay at the post office, if you're going to pay for a dental visit, if you're going to pay for, whatever it is, groceries, or to have your electricity fixed, I run a business too. It's a service. It's an energy exchange. If you don't value it, then don't come to me in the first place, right? So there's an energy exchange. What people don't realize is when they want everything for free, eventually they're the one that's going to get gypped because they are not giving their half of the energy. It's a partnership. The other side of that is the coaching industry, which puts the client as the victim and, is very focused on just what can you do to get the people to buy into the program?
Right.
Okay. I'm not into that. There's people I don't want in my program. So I think no matter where you guys are with this moving forward this year, you need to look at what it is that was on your goal card, or I had my clients just look at what their vision and their focus was. We took out the word goal this year. So they didn't get too caught up in that, because then we tend to judge ourselves. But look at, where are you in the process? Remember that everything is a process. So if you didn't get what you wanted last year, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It doesn't mean you're like, okay, well then this year I'm going to get it. It means you probably did make progress, but it's a process, and our ego doesn't like a process. So you're going to say you failed. No, you didn't. What was it you needed to learn that had to come first with what your goals were last year, the year before, the year before, the year before? And did you do what you had to do to get those goals? Did you do what you had to do to learn to become the version of you that could have what you wanted? See, this is a whole different way of looking at this.
Well, and also the responsibility of it, right? Because, like my son or my ex-wife the other day, I asked them if they needed anything. They're going through some stuff, and they said $1 million. And I laughed, and I was like, what would you do with that $1 million? Well, well, if you don't know what you would do with it, do you really absolutely need it? Would it really improve your situation? Because It's been my experience when, I was that, in my early 20s, that grind to the, I was that
grindstone.
Yeah. Thank you. 80, 90 hours a week. I took pride in that. And then, when I did get met with some success, it was like, okay, I need a breather. And I had a little bit of money, and, I could have a little fun. I could do a couple of things. And then next thing I know, I'm back at rock bottom again, and I got to start the wheel all over again, and the momentum all back over again, because my energy wasn't consistent.
Yes.
It was these high peaks and values. And, thank goodness that I found, this more spiritual way of living, or whatever that has taught me, it's about consistency of presence, and being able to, what can you do on a daily basis to just keep that wheel moving? What can you do to to keep things going without burnout, you know, because even that, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I found myself in burnout, you know, and
I'm coming out of that now
yeah.
because after realizing this a couple years ago and having to transition everything in my business this year, that is what happens. I mean, and burnout becomes a mental, it becomes an emotional, it becomes a physiological and a psychological thing
Mm-hmm.
that you have to deal with all at one time. You know, you're like, what's wrong with me? But you're just burnt out.
Right. I feel numb. I just don't want to do nothing.
Yeah. That's right. You lose the motivation and everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And that makes it difficult, you know, especially when you have people counting on you, to, you know, for their lives and their comforts and, you know, those types of things, you know. Not everybody has the patience and the compassion to go, I understand you're burnt out right now and you're going to need some time to burn, you know, to be able to relax and, you know, regulate your nervous system and find your center again and, you know, all those things again, so you can then step back into what you want to be doing while still feeling very energetic and passionate about it without having to put the persona on. You know, I remember Tony Robbins. I mean, that guy, you know, you see him on stage and you're like, oh my God, look at the energy that guy has.
Yeah.
And, you know, you see him before, if you've seen any of the backstage interviews or whatever, you know, some of the things that he's put together, or what, he's just chilling, he's relaxing. And then when he goes, right before he gets on stage, he goes and jumps on the trampoline, you know, and gets his energy up real good. And okay, no, all ready, woo, you know, and then he goes out on stage and does his thing. And then he probably goes home after the
Right.
seminar and crashes, you know, because he's expelled everything that he had being on stage, because that's what, you know, motivators do.
Right. And he learned that at an early age, and he knew that.
Mm-hmm.
And he also learned that being a higher energy person than everybody else usually gets people to like you or listen to you or pay attention to you or respect you. And so, you know, unfortunately, in our society today, we don't have a lot of respect for those who are quiet and composed,
Right.
or who are polite, or who are calm and peaceful. We automatically assume they're people pleasers, which I don't know what the problem is with that, but we have problems with that. They're too nice. They can be stepped over. We're not going to like them. And, you know, and the funny thing is, I know I mentioned this on a broadcast a couple weeks ago. You know, I get mistaken for a people pleaser all the time. I'm about as far from a people pleaser as you could get, and people end up surprised. But just because a person is kind and nice, or lets you go first, or says no worries, that's fine, or wants to run and help. I mean, like I said, it depends on I'm a mediator personality type.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always going to be that way. I'm always going to be looking at the big picture. What is going to work best for everyone? What does everyone prefer? Because that brings me joy and peace, because it's the whole picture, everyone working together. Right. That doesn't mean that I am a people pleaser.
Right.
And so, you know, if you're a people pleaser, you are dependent on that. Your emotional well-being and what you think of yourself is dependent on people approving of you.
Right.
If you smile, I have always been like this. When people come to the barn, I smile and wave. When they leave the barn, I smile and wave. And I know there's people there that are absolutely disgusted by that. Oh, there's that people pleaser again.
You're a nice person. How dare you?
I'm genuinely and people don't believe this, but see, I'm genuinely and authentically happy to see you.
Right.
Now, if they've done something shitty to me the day before, they're going to think, you can't possibly be happy to see me. Yeah, I am. I honestly am. And I grew up with a family where when anybody came, we all ran to the door and greeted them and ran out in the front yard. When anybody left, my grandfather went out, he checked all 4 tires. He said, do you have enough gas? Do you have enough air in your tires? And we all stood there and waved.
Right.
Like a movie. Okay. So this is ingrained in my subconscious mind. This is what you do to feel warm and fuzzy.
Right.
So whatever you guys have going on this year, don't doubt or question yourself based on other people's opinions. This is the most important thing. I know I did, and I think this is most of my clients, the way they get sidetracked or they pick careers they don't want or they make choices they don't want is because, whether they know it or not, they're influenced by what they think other people expect of them and the opinions other people are going to have from them, even if they don't know it.
Right.
You're going to be most joyful and happy and successful if you let go of all that.
Right.
I could see you had a thought brewing there, Chris.
Oh, I was gonna say, You're a Libra. Right. So it's one of those. It's just ingrained in me, right? And I have learned a lot by listening to other people's opinions of me. It is challenging not to get defensive, of course, when they're sharing something that you don't want to hear, or you don't agree with, or you don't see what they're talking about. But when you can get centered or take that later on and really meditate with it and go, oh, well, there is some wisdom there. And they're seeing something that I didn't because I was in my ego. I mean, we talk about this a lot, right? Everybody's a mirror, everything in the, I mean, as simple as, we're talking on this computer, I'm talking on a computer right now, and it looks like it's beyond me, but it's actually within me because the light's bouncing off it inside my brain to make the visual representation, which gives us space and time, right? Or time and space. I always get those two mixed up.
Any order is fine.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying, so when we feel, and it's challenging, especially for those of us that have had trauma and stuff like that, going back to the Tony Robbins, when somebody's really loud, it's hard for us to focus. I've been in relationships where, I was happy, I was excited, I was passionate, and I was sharing something with enthusiasm, and they just looked at me and they go, lower it down. Your voice is triggering me. You're too loud. You're, this for me. Oh, thank you for letting me know how you can receive it, kinder. But I was excited, now when I'm angry, it looks very similar, right? My tone's different, but, and so I can understand, from that perspective, how we show up in our energy causes effect in somebody else. And finding understanding and finding compromise and finding relatability and, having the cojones to go, you upset me, but let's freaking talk about this and not just go run away, because it's so easy to go, that person did this to me, they're out of my life. And we missed an opportunity to grow, in business, I know in a lot of my contracts and things like that, there was exit clauses, what we had to do to be able to move on. And I think relationships should have that too. It allows for, personal relationships. It allows for closure of like, okay, well, where did we fall short? And is this repairable or is this not? Is this something that we can work on together? Or, is this something that you're not willing to put energy in, or I'm not willing to put energy in to get the outcome? Because there isn't anything we can't accomplish together. It's just the will to and the desire to do so. Um,
Hi, Natalie. Hi, Diane. Welcome. So one, it's true. And I think, if we go back to looking at, to talking about the manifesting aspect of it,
mhm.
so I want to ask all of you listening, like, are you guys caught up in the commercialized and marketed version of manifesting? Do you not even know if you are? Or do you know and understand, do you have an idea, or do you just think you have an idea of what real manifesting is? Because if you know how to bake a chocolate cake, or you think you do, and you've only ever been given one recipe and you've been sold it and it was very expensive, and let's say it came in a box, which is what I see the coaching industry doing, then you keep trying to make it and trying to make it and trying to make it, but maybe it doesn't taste the way you want it to. What is it you really wanted? Maybe you don't even want the chocolate cake. But my point is did before 2024 came along, did you just rush into, oh, I got to have my goals, I got to have my plan, I got to know what I want this year, and get the anxiety from that? Or did you actually take time alone in nature, time to journal, time to meditate, time to maybe work out, to work off the hormones and brain and body chemistry of stress? Did you sit down and allow yourself to dream? Did you sit down and ask yourself, what do I really want to do that's different this year? What isn't working for me? What is working for me? Because one of the things Chris said that is so pertinent, and I've been teaching this for over 15 years because it is a truth, guys. This is just a life truth. You don't have to believe us. You can go through some of the greatest teachers in history. Habits and repetition are what make your life, period. Habits and repetition. You are a human being. Yes, you're a spiritual being, but you're a person. And ultimately, the habits and repetition and your choices, the habits and repetition of your choices, and your choices include what you think. Yes, believe it or not, your thoughts are a choice. And maybe you have yet to discover that, but it's very empowering and liberating. That also means that your emotions are a choice. Feelings are road signs. Your emotions are too, but your emotions are the mind and the body. Check in with Dr. Joe Dispenza. Okay. Mm-hmm. He's one of the few people I trust and recommend to my clients to listen to. Your attitude is a choice. Your boundaries are a choice. Your partnership is a choice. Your money and finances are a choice. Yes, they are. Your jobs are a choice. Even your physical state, whether you have a disease, whether you're chronically underweight or overweight, guys, it's a choice. Now, can you choose every little detail of everything that happens to you in your life? No. But you always have a choice as to how to respond and whether you react or respond. Right. You always have a choice. What I really focused on, Chris, before we went into 2024 with my clients for a good 6 weeks with my clients, was recognizing everything as a process. And I know we talked about this right before New Year's, but when you see life as a process, all of a sudden this concept of everything being a choice and habits and repetition takes on a new light. If you want and believe in immediate gratification, and you think you can take a 6 to 10 week coaching program and change your life, sorry, I don't care how many testimonials they got people to say in the first week of coaching. It doesn't happen. How do I know it doesn't happen? We have tens of thousands of years of human history to prove that doesn't happen. That's not how our biochemistry works. It's not how our brain chemistry works. It's not how life in society works. It's advertised so much, you guys are brainwashed to believe that's what should happen. And when it doesn't happen, you feel like a failure and you're depressed and you're upset. Mm-hmm. When you look at life as a process, guys, it's all okay. You have time to change and create what you want.
Well, and I think that's part of, because it's not sustainable, right? I'm
If
working with,
it's immediate, it's not sustainable,
right,
period.
right. I'm working with a friend of mine right now. She was just diagnosed with cancer, and of course that's one big test, right? And we've been talking over the last few years about she drinks, and she does some things on a regular habitual basis. She kept saying, I need to change this, I need to change this, I need to change this. And I was like, you will one day. It's gonna have to happen. And now she's found out she's got cancer, and now it's like, if she doesn't, her life's over.
Right.
Or she's going to be in excruciating pain. She's going to suffer, all the various different things. I mean, and we can talk about. I was just at a meeting yesterday, and I was asked to bring. I forget their name. I'm not hearing it. I'm not hearing it in my head right. Manas is what I hear, but I don't know if that's right. And I didn't ask her to spell it. She's from Venezuela, so I sometimes have a hard time with the accent. But she asked if I would be able to host a Colombian shaman that lives high in the mountains. They don't interact with society. They're known as the keepers of the planet, the protectors of the planet, and they've decided to come down the mountain to share their technologies and their teachings. And one of their technologies is telepathy. And we were talking about things, and I use marijuana, and it's been something that I've been breaking away from. It's helped me stay really connected in certain aspects, and calm, and not feeling too much. When I don't smoke, I can feel the planet, I can feel people, I can feel animals, and it can be overwhelming. And so sometimes I just want to cut it off and break it off. And so I was using pot unconsciously. I didn't know this. I'm learning this now of, oh, wait, like, for me to strengthen that, because this is a choice, I have to let go of my crutch, the thing that makes it easy for me, to just jump in and out, because that's really what it did for me. It allowed me to go, okay, I need to be in it right now so I can jump in, and then, okay, I can detach. Where if I'm not smoking, I don't have that ability. And I learned that. I was learning that lesson through my own experience. And then it was confirmed for me yesterday. One of the shamans was talking to my friend, and he needed a break from feeling everything that he's feeling. And he said that's what marijuana's for, is to help sever that empathic connection that we have beyond ourselves, which I find is really interesting, since it's now becoming more and more popular and mainstream and legalized and recreational and all that kind of stuff, that all these people are using this medicine to find peace within themselves. And I'm curious what the effects are going to be long term, for a larger group, right? Because a lot of people didn't use it because it was illegal. Well, now that it's recreational, people like, I don't smoke, but I eat gummies, or whatever they're
Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
whatever.
No, I love the gummies, but without the hallucinogen in it.
Right.
I mean, that's great. I've used it on my animals. I have a very different perspective than you do.
Okay.
I'm actually, I mean, I believe in it as a medical thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there are people that have very high anxiety and depression and stress that, perhaps it is actually better than other medications. So I'm not I have sort of odd opinions on this. And Melody, we're we're talking about marijuana for the moment, but what we're really talking about is moving into 2024. So, but I just want to say, like, I think from a spiritual perspective, from a psychic medium perspective, I do not believe that. I believe that it brings people the sensation and the idea and the illusion of peace and of connectedness and of awakening. But I believe that anything we put in our body actually does the opposite. I could say the same thing about a glass of wine. Oh, because it relaxes my nervous system. I can be more relaxed now. But am I really purely more relaxed of my own choosing? No. If I really want to be at peace and be relaxed, I need to be able to do it with nothing.
Right.
And the irony is, and you know this, Chris, I'm very into Native American culture. I know I've been a Native American in a past life. I know that a lot of these indigenous cultures use, hallucinogenic type of plants and things like that to have experiences. But I do believe that it does not, I believe in some of those cases because of other things. It was helping them see things in the other world. It was helping them use their imagination for the manifesting that they needed to do. But it is not something I ever encourage because, as Eckhart Tolle says, I do believe that, and I've known a lot of people that have done this, they feel more spiritual or they feel more connected or more at peace putting something like that in their body. And that does give them the physical sensations and the mental illusion of it happening. But anything what it's really doing is it's clouding your mind. It's changing your mind from it's altering your now situation from what life has handed it there to be. And I don't know how to say this without you being able to argue with it, but I'm trying to be very clear. Really, I'm trying to be very clear about this because the truth is that our ego gives us enough clutter. And even our basic diet, even eating meat, even eating sugar influences that.
Right.
And the more pure that we keep our bodies, then we're just left with the raw mind and ego to deal with. Because anything physical we put in it is going to influence that.
Right.
Anything at all.
Right.
So I'm not saying, guys, you can't eat and drink and all that. But when we keep it more, rawly nature-based, and I understand even cats go find hallucinogens in the road. If you guys want to do that, that's fine. But don't do it under the pretense of this is helping me awaken.
Right.
Go for getting that awakening purely without that, because otherwise you're messing with your brain and body chemistry. And it's going to give you want to know that that's really there. I mean, I've had experiences and sensations without any drug-induced anything that other people have described to me. Oh, but I've had this in when I took that or when I tried this. Okay, I don't want that. I have no interest in that.
Right.
For me, I know it's a real experience when it's done purely. So, I mean, you guys can be on either side of the road here, but I want to share that perspective because I had clients that came to me for spiritual coaching years ago that, oh no, I'm going to do exactly what you share with me so I can. And months later, I found out they dropped off the coaching and they had ordered the stuff online that makes you feel enlightened. Because what they were really after, what you are all really after, is an experience. And for some people, that's okay. I really want to know. I really want to remember who I am as a soul. For other people, it's I want to feel enlightened. I want to feel awake. I want to feel confident. And so you might be a person that is on medication for depression and anxiety, and it's not working well for you. By all means, please go smoke some pot.
Right.
But if that's not you, if you're wanting to get off everything like Eckhart Tolle's wife did, go the conscious path.
Right.
You know?
Well, I think there's duality there, right? And play with it, because I've come on here and like, oh yeah, I just did plant ceremony, and why'd you do it for? Because I've wanted the experience, I and that was purely it. I just wanted to have a different experience than I have in my normal everyday life, so that's why I chose to do it. Because I agree with you. I tend to have more touches from the other side when I'm not on those things. I mean,
you might have needed the contrast, though. See, for you, right. you might have needed that for you to recognize that.
Sure. And that's where, I mean, getting out of, clearing the way, right, is just really that, like, curiosity. What's the curiosity? Like, I think a lot of things break down, and I know for me, I quit and let go when I think I know something and I'm no longer curious about it. Because I'm not asking questions. I'm not going deeper into it. And I just get kind of like rigid and, okay, well, this isn't working. I got to let it go. Because, maybe I'm not meant to do that. Maybe I'm not supposed to do it this way, or, whatever. And it's a form of self-sabotage.
Yep. Yeah. Self-limitations. And I think that's a good thing to talk about, guys. As we're talking about creating an amazing 2024, how are you setting yourself up? How are you creating self-limitations and maybe not even knowing it? Are we, like something you just said reminded me of, are you saying I should or shouldn't, for example?
Mm-hmm.
How do we translate that? Maybe it's, if you want to get up early, you should go to bed early. Okay. Mm-hmm. Right. That's a great way to use should. But what I find is a lot of clients will say, should I be on this path? Should it be on that path? And my response to them is, I don't know. Should you?
Right. We're always on the path, though. That's the thing. My computer's going to die, so I got to get my charger.
Oh, no, get your plug quick. Yeah, I mean, we're always on a path, but that's the question. Look inward. Do you feel like you are on the path that is in alignment with you? And how do you know if it's in alignment with you or not? Right? Sometimes, you always hear us telling you guys, you got to get out of your comfort zone in order to get what you want. But let's keep backing it up. Yeah, that's true. But why do you want what you want? See, this right here is the crux of the whole problem. And this goes back to our crux of manifesting. The reason the Taoists teach to not have wants is because it is the very essence of wanting that blocks you from getting what you want. There's the irony. The very essence of wanting blocks you from what you want. So in manifesting, I taught this for over 15 years. You got to be clear about what you want. You got to know what you want. You got to know what you don't want. Okay. Do you? I don't know. Was I wrong for teaching that? Do you really? How about just knowing how you would like to feel, and what you want and how you would like to feel all matches up to what? The way you want to feel. When you feel, the better you feel, the more in alignment you are to some extent. Okay. But I don't mean like, okay, you're over here getting high on drugs and so you're feeling good. That means you're in alignment. No, you're not. You're way out of alignment. And this is the problem people make. And this is why I encourage them to stay away from influential stuff, because we want that temporary, immediate gratification. That will never get you what you want. when you're doing those things that give you the immediate gratification that makes you feel the way you want, it is a temporary way of satisfying yourself. So you have a break from whatever resistance you have to not having what you want. But what if you were to let go of everything you wanted? What if you were to say, I am thankful. This is what Jesus taught, guys. What if you were to say, I am happy and grateful for everything just as they are right now? Eckhart Tolle says the most powerful prayer you can ever say is thank you. No matter how a circumstance is right now, pretend, imagine, act as if it is exactly the way you would want it to be and no different. Guys, this is the greatest piece of advice you will ever receive. And most of you will get off of this broadcast or this replay, not even hear what I'm saying, forget about it because you're going to be off pursuing whatever the heck you want, and it's going to fall through the cracks. But what I teach my clients, even if they stay with me 3 to 5 years to get out of their mess and to love life and get where they want to be, because it's a process. When it comes down to it, that's what they do. That is one of the most important aspects of life, because it combines being present with gratitude, with releasing yourself of resistance. So as you move into 2024, understand the only thing that ever gets in your way of what you don't want is you and the resistance that your mind has. And as Eckhart Tolle says, mind is synonymous with resistance, which is synonymous with thought. So when you learn to still your mind, differentiate between your thoughts and your consciousness, even if you don't want to do that, if you just make it your way of life, just for 2 days even, that no matter what is happening, pretend as though, act as if that is exactly how you'd want it to be and be grateful for it. Yeah. What happens is the resistance to you not getting what you want starts to go away. Notice I said starts to go away. Hi, Brecca. Thank you. Starts to go away. That means if you don't get the immediate gratification you want within those 2 days, and then you go back to, oh my God, I got to fix things. My life's a mess. Things aren't the way I want. I'm suffering and struggling. Okay. The one thing that the manifesting coaches are teaching that is actually true is that like attracts like. Whatever you are feeling and whatever your habits and repetitions are in the inside, you will experience. So if you've done every manifestation technique in the book and you're still not happy, guess what? Your natural state is joy, abundance. That's your natural state, and peace, joy, abundance, and peace. So if you're not feeling that, you have resistance. Right. And do the opposite of what you think. Stop thinking about what you want, because it will always elude you. Right. Start being grateful and acting as though everything was exactly the way you wanted. You had more than enough. And I guarantee you guys, because life in the universe knows better than you do. And I know this because I talk to thousands of spirits every week. If you start doing that, you're open to receive not only the things that make you feel the way you want to feel, but the things you couldn't possibly imagine wanting. Things far better than what you ever thought or could dream up come in ways easily. This is the key to ease and effortlessness. And the sad part about this is if 1,000 people were to see this podcast, maybe one of you will take what I just said, write it down, and make that their number one focus for the next year. Maybe one person will apply what I just said. And I know that because I've been that one person. And I have taught thousands of people. And I can tell you how hard it is to get people to do just that.
Well, and there's a huge discrepancy as well between need and want. And as long as we have the basic necessities of what we need, as you said, the natural states are there, right? I mean, we know by going to a third world country, it doesn't take money for people to be happy. You know, um,
Yep.
it's connection, right? I think connection is more important than a lot of material abundance. You know, it does. Material abundance allows us to move freely in the 3D realm with the exchange, and the weather's crappy here today, Larkin. Let's go hit the beach, and
Right.
I'll call up the jet, and we fly. And yeah, I know people that are like that too. Like, it's crappy here today. I want to go play golf, so I'm gonna jump on my plane and I'm gonna go play golf. And that keeps them distracted,
Right.
but it doesn't keep them happy.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to share dirty laundry, but there sure is, up in that arena, there's a lot of stuff there that no one talks about, right? Because they don't want to get ousted in the societal pool.
But it's a fake thing, though. I mean, that's the thing, you guys. That's the thing you guys have to understand is the majority of the people in this world do not live in the fake world. I mean, I hate to tell you, but you guys are living in a fake world. Our world is not. It's not. You're not getting a real representation of how life really is. We have layered up so many things to think it's real. I mean, we have people depressed because they didn't get a new big television for Christmas. Really? Right. Really? I mean, if we're going to talk about third world countries, we went out with friends a few years ago for dinner, and they belong to I don't know, what do you call it? Those Christian groups that go out, and I don't believe in them, but think they're doing good for other countries, but basically
missionary,
converting them to Christianity, right?
Yeah.
So, and they were saying, wow, like this was their life dream to go on this missionary trip. And they were talking about how, I mean, they were doing good things. These kids didn't have water, all this, but along with it came the Christian school and the Christian books, and we gave them clothes. Yeah, you gave them uniforms that have the Christian school name on it and whatever. But they couldn't believe how happy these people were. How can these people be so joyful? They have nothing. They're so full of joy. Well, yeah, you know why? Because as soon as the human mind gets too much, we take it for granted and we expect it. This is why we have, I hate this Karen's term. We have Karens. Okay.
I haven't heard that one for a while.
It's we shouldn't be targeting a name. Everyone does it, everyone to some extent has this entitlement. I don't care who you are. Different groups like to point entitlement out for different people. Just because I'm a white woman and I don't have to take the bus means I'm entitled. No, it doesn't. I can tell you right now, I'm not entitled. I'm the first person who will go to the end of any line and let anybody go first. I put my grocery cart back. I pick up my mess in the grocery if I spill something. I mean, so we look at people and make these judgments. And when you make a judgment, you're wrong. To some extent, you're always wrong. That's ego. And there's always a bigger picture. But I think we have to remember that there's a whole nother world there beyond even those of you that feel like you have no money. Maybe you don't have a job. Maybe you can barely afford gas or a bus ticket. You're still living like a queen or a king. We're all living better than queens and kings did 1,000 years ago.
Right.
So, we're never going to be satisfied unless we sit down with gratitude. And we start being able to say, I mean, what I was doing with migraines, and guys, my migraines now last me like 2 days. I can eat. I can function and go to the barn. Yeah, it sucks. But I'm not rolling out of bed and scooting like a snake to the bathroom so I can puke. I'm not stuck in bed for 5 days where I can't eat and I have to hydrate myself because I can't even suck on an ice cube. Where did my solution didn't come from a doctor? They couldn't figure it out. But part of my process was finding a way to be grateful for the migraines. What were they a mirror of? What were they mirroring? What was it a reflection of? That's hard to do when you're physically suffering, guys. A lot of you know that. So find a way to be grateful for everything. You don't have to understand the reason. You can say, I don't know what the reason is. But everything's always, as you go into 2024, everything is always working out for your good. And you don't have to see and know why. Why? Because everything's in process.
Right.
So again,
and only the ego wants to know. The soul already's got it.
That's exactly right. And so if you guys, again, if you make the shift from needing immediate results and getting what you want immediately to everything is in process, it changes. It gives you that allotment to say everything's working out for me, because it doesn't mean that everything has to be the way I want it to be right now. Ego.
Well, and a lot of times, one of the most discouraging things in my life is to obtain something that I wanted and realize that I didn't really want it, but I quested after it anyway.
Yeah.
Because then the next time there's that thing, right? You're like, well, I remembered that, I worked my butt off, 60, 70, 80 hours a week to get to that level. And, when I got there, I was like, okay, I'm done with this.
Right.
Glad I achieved it, but I need to move on and not have that, that buyer's remorse that keeps us stuck there. Right.
Right.
Like I see so many people do that. Like, why I put all this time, energy and money and, all this, and I do it too. I'm not excluding myself by any means, but, so it's gotta be this, like, I can't allow for B to come in because like A is like everything that I've put my things towards. And, if it shows up differently, then who am I? I'm supposed to be this creative, creator and, a manifester and, that to me is like part of the beautiful thing about spirituality, is and saying, what, like, I'm a co-creator. I can influence, I can show up, I can do my part. But ultimately, I personally can't get people to stop destroying the planet. It would take a collective collaboration of people to do that.
Right.
To make that big of a ripple, to make sure that Pachamama is safe and secure and healing. And why is it important? Well, for my, and I don't even know if I'll have great grandkids, 7 generations out. But if we affect 7 generations with our life, what is that life going to look like if we don't learn the lessons from the previous 7 generations?
And you can see how hard that is by just, having several generations living at a time.
Mm-hmm.
The contrast that happens between them and the differences and the changes and even the clashes that they have, how hard that 7 generation thing is if you lose a sense of culture.
Right.
The reason that certain cultures have been able to maintain that is because they were allowed to maintain and build repetition and consistency in the culture. We have a lot of trouble with that here in the Western part of the world, especially in the United States. We have these clashes, whereas, they weren't having those same clashes like in Japan or in parts of India. There are cultures in the Native Americans. There have started to become now because we're influencing everyone. But that's all part of that bigger picture process. I'm glad Chris brought that up in here, because there's this bigger picture going on. And I do have to get off in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I got to go too. So,
but I think the idea of radical responsibility, guys, is if we each did it and we each do it and we can influence everyone else or the people around us in the tiniest way, that's how we get the collective to do it. Now I wanted to mention a couple of things. I think we want to know what you guys want to talk about this year. We're going to be talking about where we're going to be moving forward with this podcast. And we want to know what topics you all have liked best, and what events and things you would like to see us host. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel to help us get more followers, so that we can grow the channel and then we can do more. Also, if you want to listen on YouTube, you have to subscribe in order to comment. Chris, did you have any announcements that you want to say or make?
Just grateful that you're back, and we're doing the show again together, and really looking forward to providing service this year to those that are looking for it. So,
yeah, absolutely. And this is about growth and transformation, guys, and working together and really connecting your conscious spiritual self with your cognitive human self, because those two have to be integrated for you to have a smooth, enjoyable, peaceful, abundant life. And Chris and I have both been through our trials and struggles and tribulations, and we want to share with you guys how to work through that as a process. So,
well, and I'm sure I'll have plenty more of those too, and then it'll just keep giving me more insights and
that's life,
right? Yeah. That's the process. That's the process of life. I remember that quote, and we'll close it. But I remember being young and my grandfather telling me, well, you got to be young and dumb to be old and wise. And I'm like, oh man, I'm all over that one. Give me the lessons. I want that wisdom, I want that perspective.
Absolutely.
But
Rekha says, first time here, welcome. I would love to hear your thoughts on imposter syndrome. Wow. We both know about that.
Mm-hmm.
I taught that in my business coaching for over 15 years. So we actually are out of time today. We can get on that next week. I will say, Brecca, that in all my years of business coaching and helping people get their businesses to over $1 million, that's one of the biggest problems. But it's broader than just imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is just actually a version of lack of confidence. And how do we get confidence? And I will leave you with this thought, because this is what you'd need to start with anyway. Confidence comes through doing, not through thinking about it, not through trying to figure out how to get confident, not through doing other things to get confident. It comes through doing the very thing, getting out of your comfort zone and doing the very thing that you are unconfident about doing, that you
consistently.
Feel yes.
Consistently.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So, that held me back with my psychic medium business forever. My readings were way, way better, and I got way better reception than some of the celebrity psychics out there. I listened to some of the celebrity psychics and I'm like, good God, I can tell you which ones are real and which ones are fake like that. Nobody knows who I am as a psychic medium. And you know why? Because of the things I didn't like when I got online to do big group readings, because of imposter syndrome. Because, who are they? I don't have 1 million followers. Who are they going to think I am? Well, you know what? You got to start somewhere. And everybody that's where you want to be, that you might feel like an imposter for, got through it. And so it's really just a matter of, are you willing to get out of your comfort zone? Because everyone who gets what they want gets out of their comfort zone. or not. I mean, it does come down to that choice. That's what it comes down to. So that's a summary version of how to fix it. And I've gone through years of coaching with people, talking about that, practicing, going it over week after week after week. But that is the summary of what has to happen. So let me know if that helps. You can always check out my coaching program. It's $99 a month, and Chris will be participating in that as well. Or if there's other support that you want to get for that. But if it's something you're having trouble working through yourself, you may just want to get some outside support. I hope that helps. Okay, great question. And you guys can also, we do have to pop off, but please also, guys, leave in the comments, even if you're on the rebroadcast, if you have other things you want to hear about, because we can talk more about that in a whole topic, Brecca, or things you want us to do special events about, because we're going to be doing special events. We're going to be adding that to, coaching stuff and lives. We will be adding the things that you guys want to hear about and that we know everyone needs to hear about to all of this. So, Chris, do you have any last words?
Much love and gratitude. Thank you for who you are and all that you choose to be. So enjoy the week. See you next week.
See you next week.
All right. Bye-bye.